Game, they were getting absolutely blasted by Georgia in the Orange Bowl, and that was after they sulked for a couple of weeks about not making the college football playoff as an undefeated ACC champion, albeit without their starting quarterback. Tomorrow it is turn the page time for the Seminoles, ranked 10th in this year's Associated Press preseason poll. Their season opener is against Georgia Tech. It is in Ireland. ESPN's Jesse Palmer is on the call, and he likes the changes that Mike Norvell has made to this year's FSU squad.
He's brought in some household names here, DJ Uiagalelei being the biggest, the quarterback from Oregon State. But there are a lot of other guys that I think are very talented players, guys like Roydale Williams, a running back who was playing at Bama, guys like Malik Benson, who was playing wide receiver at Bama, Marvin Jones Jr., was a defensive end at Georgia.
Jesse Palmer this afternoon on Carolina versus Joe. It's the Aer Lingus Classic from Dublin. Coverage on ESPN noon Eastern time tomorrow, following a special edition of College Game Day live from Dublin. Starts 9 a.m. Eastern time. Florida State, 10.5-point favorite at ESPN. Bet your total 55.5. Round 2 of the BMW Championship in Colorado. Adam Scott fired a 9 under 63. Today's got a 5-shot lead.
Hey, it's Michelle Smallman, and coming up Monday, college football is underway, and I'm going to tell you who the biggest threat is to Ohio State and Georgia. It's on Sportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
From Studio 2 at the worldwide headquarters of ESPN, this is Freddie and Harry.
Nick Cardy's one of the youngest members of our staff, so he had a chance to see the Barry Sanders biography on Prime Video. They did like a whole thing on him, and Nick was like, this guy was ridiculous.
Amazing.
Chad, you played against Barry Sanders. You got a Barry Sanders story. What is it?
And it was an outside run to the left. I was playing right, go to run through my A-gap. I see it's an outside play. Barry's running outside the tackle to my left. So I abandoned my gap to go chase Barry down.
You sure about that?
Barry recognizes it, right foot in the ground, cuts back to the A-gap, 68 yards later. Touchdown, Lions.
I've made a huge mistake.
And Chad is getting yelled at by Bill Cowher on the sideline.
Man, that boy bad.
This is Freddie and Harry.
Chad, it's funny how clearly you recollect the trauma of getting burned and raced by the way that you do. That's impressive.
Now, even worse is Barry and I had the same agent. So at an agent gathering once in off season, I'd have to see Barry. So yeah, there's a a weird, perverse sense of pride that somehow, I thought of myself as a pretty good player, but even the best get you, and that's how good they are. And Barry was clearly one of the greatest of all time to do it. So when I tell that story, it's less shame and more pride that I got done by Barry Sanders.
You are not the only one. That is Chad Brown. I am Ken Levicka. This is Freddie and Harry here on ESPN Radio, the free ESPN app, and Sirius XM Channel 80, presented by Progressive Insurance. And Chad, let's tap into your Steelersdom here, okay? Mm-hmm. Go ahead, get a pen and paper, take notes. I'm about to go through the 13 preseason drives that have had Russell Wilson or Justin Fields at quarterback, okay? Prepare yourself for this. Punt, 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 missed field goal, punt, field goal, turnover on downs, turnover on downs, turnover on downs. Wow, that's bad. I mean, that flat out sucks. That is atrocious.
That is awful. That is awful. Clearly, the issue with the Steelers last year with their quarterback was they couldn't produce enough offense. Now they've got two quarterbacks who can't produce enough offense, at least in the preseason. Now, there's a little bit more context to this. Russell Wilson's sacks, the offensive line was not exactly putting it together a stellar performance. But when you've got the track record that Russell Wilson does after 2 years in Denver, where he didn't get rid of the ball, took a lot of sacks, held on to the ball too long. Late in his tenure in Seattle, the same thing was an issue. Now, third team in a couple of years seems to be having those same kind of issues. The conversation around Russell Wilson, I think, is fair that there's concern that there's not much more that can be done to reclaim or salvage his career here, because this thing that he has to hold on to the ball too long, to not process the defense, not to get rid of the ball quickly.
Well, again, everyone, let's check weather for you. Central Illinois, Champaign is Saturday, and the warm-up gets underway here on this finally Friday. Extends into the weekend, a more typical summertime feel, and just remote chances for a stray shower on the back end of the weekend. Better chances for some organized rainfall late next week. Otherwise, warm weather and dry weather expected for next Thursday night football over at Memorial Stadium. Warmer afternoon in store here on this finally Friday, mostly sunny up to 83, increasing clouds tonight, milder 64. Partly sunny for the day tomorrow, high about 87. Maybe a stray shower late tomorrow night into early Sunday morning. Then partly sunny, very warm, more humid, the high close to 90 for the day on Sunday. Hot weather Monday and Tuesday as well as Wednesday, lower 90s by day, upper 60s at night. Maybe a stray shower late Thursday night, and a couple of showers and thunderstorms on a cold front next Friday. High temperatures of the upper 80s on Thursday. That's next Thursday, and into the 80s for next Friday. Cooler weather is shaping up for the Labor Day holiday weekend. For Stephen J. Broadcasting, I'm meteorologist Greg Solgay.
Took one as well.
Yeah, you did.
Although I'm even more tired today because I did a there and back to St. Louis for good reason though.
I didn't take it easy either yesterday.
Tell that story. I'm sure you didn't.
By the way,
we welcome back Kyle Tosk.
Let's go.
What's up, Kyle? What's going on, man? Enjoy your time away?
I did, yeah. It was nice. Went up to New Buffalo, Michigan, got out on the lake.
Sweet.
It rained like 4 of the 5 days that we were up there, but the one day it didn't, we got out on a boat, and it was a beautiful day. So
is that the UP?
It is not. No, it's like right over the Indiana-Michigan border. It's not far from Chicagoland.
I've said this 100 times, but I've been told by thousands of people that Michigan is just one of the more beautiful states. I've only been there like just for a game and then out. Like, I've never spent any time in Michigan, and it's probably not that far. It would probably be an easy road trip just to get to Michigan and hang out and see the state, so I'll have to do that sometime. Well, I'm glad you had a good time with your family, and then it was like, hey, I got to go back. I think Derek and Lon have taken over my apartment.
If we knew where you lived, we might have been able to do that, yeah. He hasn't shared that.
No, he has not. Probably a smart idea on his part.
I would say that's a good move. Good move by him. I'm surprised he didn't check in and was like, hey, is the show still a thing? Like,
did you
listen? Folded up shop?
I did a few times.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I did.
Great.
Heard you talking some Illini hoops.
Okay. You weren't listening like right around 4, were you? Like when we were going heavy and stuff? Pipes and I both were like, uh-oh, Kyle's probably like cursing us right now because it's 4:02.
No, see, I don't care about it when I'm just listening from home. I don't see the 8 minutes of spots you got to get in before the hour's over, so I'm fine.
It's not on him at that point, no.
No, you're right. That is not. That's so funny.
We did some working for free. Yeah, we were it's 5:02, 5:03, and we're still talking.
I mean, we might as well just hey, that just shows you how committed we are to our job. That's exactly right.
Excited about what we're doing.
That's exactly right.
Excited about football season. Brett Bielema spoke to the media today along with the coordinators.
Sweet.
If you do a full 7 days, it's game week officially. If you want to wait till Monday, we'll get Jay Lehman back in the studio, which Kyle was not there for our preseason show or our little kind of season outlook with Jay. Maybe our preseason game, so to speak, like our run-through.
Yeah,
but,
that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, we'll have him back on Monday. Can't wait to do that. And then out at Pia's on Wednesday. It's going to speed up and pick up, and next thing we know, it's going to be game day.
If it was our preseason game, then Kyle was like definitely the starter that didn't play. Right? He's like,
no doubt.
He goes, Pipes, you and Lon need as much help as you can get. I'm sitting this one out. I don't want to be injured. You know, I don't want vocal cord issues. I'm just going to sit out the preseason game. That's what the stars do around here.
Doubt.
Hans D sat him out. And it's just the workers like you and I that just have to bring the goods every day. This is my 4th day this week. This is really – and technically it's a streak because yesterday it wasn't my fault.
That's right.
Cardinals game.
He's trying to build up this little Cal Ripken streak. Now, that's the high end, obviously, if he can really keep this
going. What
going.
Does he have, 2,150 to go or whatever?
It's all relative, right? It's relative to the line over the last year. We'll see if, by comparison, it's essentially the Cal Ripken streak, if he can put together like 20 in a row.
I've always wondered like what my longest streak was. I know when we first started the show, we didn't – I guess we had maybe – well, Carp finally joined us as kind of our third guy, but, man, for a long time, I couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah, nobody else.
Right. And so it just seemingly like I'm sure I've had maybe, I don't know, dare I say like 60 shows in a row or maybe, I don't know, maybe more than that.
Maybe more, yeah.
So who knows? But yeah, like you said the correct word, they're relative to my last week. Yeah, somebody tweeted out today, well, we can talk about it with Andrew, but they're like, oh, so you might as well just hire Kyle full time with Andrew moving on. I'm like, well.
Congratulations to Andrew Tay. Has made his commitment in college, going to Southeastern Community College in Iowa.
That's right, West Burlington, right across the river. So you go through Peoria, up to Galesburg or something, and then over. We visited a few places, right? And when we visited Southeastern Community College, their coach, Justin Schulte, he's been there like 20 years. He'll be a Hall of Fame coach. Just won his 1,000th game. He really made an impression on Andrew. And one thing that I'm really proud about Andrew is that Coach Schulte basically said, you're going to work if you come here. You're working. We have strict guidelines on how you lift every day, your arm care. He's like, there's going to be days you don't like me. I think I told you guys at the end of our meeting, essentially handed Andrew a packet, and he's like, that'll show you how much we work. He goes, and don't tell anybody I'm not a nice guy because I give you Christmas and New Year's Day off. So it's like, whoa, well, thanks, Coach. But I think Andrew really liked that idea of I want to go somewhere and work. Andrew's always just been he kind of enjoys kind of going and doing his own thing. He kind of did that in summer ball, took a chance with the Decatur Commodores. It worked unbelievably. And then he had some offers here in the state of Illinois, which was awesome. It was so cool to meet every coach, and you're so appreciative to hear what they say about your son. And it's hard to tell a coach no. I didn't have to do it. Andrew had to do it, but I know how difficult it was because he really got to know a lot of these coaches. And so that was the part he didn't like. But again, like I've joked with you all along, I've talked about recruiting for all my life. And to finally be a part of it, you really get a sense of how a coach can sway you and just the fit, right? And how the family likes the fit, how of course, Andrew loves the coaches there. He loves the facilities. This program, if you throw COVID out, 9 of the last 10 years they've won 40-plus games, and the year that they didn't, they won 39. So last year, 2 years ago, they finished second in the JUCO World Series, and last year they were invited as an at-large for the first time ever. So, and they sent 19 kids to D1. So there's a lot to like about it. There was a lot to like about every school he visited, but he just really connected with this coach, and he just feels like he's going to head to Burlington and he's going to work his butt off and get better, get stronger, hopefully add some speed to where he's touching 89 now, so hopefully he can get to 92, 93. And then who knows, who knows. It's just funny to even it's like I have out-of-body experience when I talk about it because it's amazing. Obviously both my boys have just succeeded beyond any of my expectations. And Lucas was a really good athlete, really good golfer, but he elected to go more of the education part of it. Andrew certainly is a pretty good student. He'll get the education part of it, but he's there for baseball. There's no doubt he's there for baseball, and he's always had a dream of pitching college baseball, so we can mark that box, and I appreciate it. I'm excited. It was a cool thing the night I was over in Bloomington, the night that he committed officially, and I texted you and Carp and Werner and a bunch of Trevor and the guys, and I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I was over there having dinner, and I started crying. I mean, it's just a cool moment because, I mean, it's something I think every kid wants to play college something, right? And I never had the ability to do that. I just wasn't good enough. And Andrew, luckily, has a little bit of a good right arm, and he works. So I'm excited. Got to get him dialed in. Once he gets dialed in, I mean, we've talked about that a lot, but the speed's there, and I think he'll increase it as he gets stronger, but we got to get him dialed in, and then I think that can make the next move even more spectacular. So it's cool.
Did he tell you what the conversation went like when he committed? Like, I've always wondered what that ultimately ends up playing out to be.
It's funny because I asked him yesterday. I said, what did Coach Schulte, was he excited? You know, and if you knew Coach Schulte, you'd understand what he's like, well, I mean, it's just Coach Schulte. I don't think he gets too excited about anything, but he had called Andrew a few times, you know, just check in with him, and they had some good conversations, but I think he and Coach and Andrew are the same guy. Like there's zero emotion. So I think both of them were probably like, hey, Coach, I'm committing. Oh, that's great. Congrats. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Yeah, that's probably it.
Right.
There's not a lot of like, woohoo, but it was
cool, low key.
He pitched, Coach Schulte pitched at Iowa. The only issue here, I mean, let's get the elephant out of the room, is that like Coach Schulte pitched at Iowa. His son is going to be the starting shortstop for Iowa this year, he thinks, Cooper Schulte. He's got a lot of connections to Iowa. I don't know that I could handle Andrew going D1 to Iowa. Can we just throw that out there? If he's lucky enough to get to that next level, I mean, because that's the one thing I found, and one thing that I appreciate with Andrew is that he really talked to these coaches about their connections. You know, because I think each coach, whether it be the pitching coach, hitting coach, head coach, they all have certain guys they know. It's like anything, right? I mean, we know guys in our profession. So Andrew really wants to get south. I've told you this before. I mean, he'd love to pitch for Ole Miss. Well, you're going to be as good as you can if you're going to pitch at Ole Miss. You're going to get drafted in Major League Baseball if you're going to pitch at Ole Miss, right? So I don't know if he can get to that level. I have no idea. But his goal has always been to head south, right? And so I always appreciated Andrew at least, you know, talking to the coaches about where did some of your kids go? Where are some of your D1 coaches going? Or players that are going D1, where are they going? So it was cool. It was kind of cool to watch Andrew through this whole experience. I mean, he handled it great. He was yes, sir, no, sir, and I think he's ready to work. So
it's awesome.
It's pretty cool.
Congrats to him.
But, boy, Iowa.
I was going to say, I'm sure that's what the Luke Goody family said about Luke going to Illinois. You know, being a Hoosier family, a lot of background there, and like, Illinois,
That would be, I know, that would be really, Lucas and I have talked about it. I'm like, I don't know, dude. I can't imagine him wearing the Hawkeye. Actually, I'd be happy for him, but I don't know that I could wear the Hawkeye. I
think you'd have to, though.
Oh, man.
Wouldn't you?
I don't know. Well, first of all, this is the Southeastern SEC, their nickname is the Blackhawks. Well, I can't frickin' stand the Blackhawks. So I'm like, you know, like somebody, Betsy in my office is like, wow, you're going to have to get like, they'll have signing day. You'll have like a Southeastern shirt on of course, for me, I'll have a pullover on. I'm like, the challenge for me is going to find something that just says Southeastern. I'm not going to wear Blackhawks crap. I'm just not doing it. I don't think I can. So it'll be interesting. Like it was like one of the first things when we got on campus, I noticed their nickname was the Blackhawks, and I immediately was like, you're not going here. Like, we might as well turn around and head back to Illinois. You're not going to this school. So, it was funny. Like, I always looked at, like, the nicknames. It's funny to be able to do that, but it's a good place, and we've talked long enough about it. Great facilities. Just built a brand-new weight room for basically softball and baseball. They've got a strength coach. They've got a nutritionist. They have, like, 6 not physical therapy, but what am I trying to say? Athletic trainers. Mm-hmm. Yep. They've got a huge dome. You can imagine, you know how crappy cold and stuff it is in February and March and April here? Can you imagine what it is in northern Iowa? Like West Burlington's not northern Iowa, but guys in their conference are like next to Minnesota and in Nebraska. And it's like, oh my gosh. So they've got a huge dome. If anybody's familiar with like Pekin has a dome over in Pekin, Illinois. It's like 3 times the size of that.
Jeez.
So all the sports use it, of course, but the good thing there, they can work year round and whatever they need to for stuff. So he's fired up. I'm fired up. Our whole family's fired up. I know his brother's excited. So it's a really cool thing. I guess I never thought of the day where I'd be talking about that, but excited and waiting for the next step too. Hopefully that he goes and works his butt off and has a chance maybe to go D1 or the big leagues. He can go pitch for the Cardinals on a random Thursday when you and Kate are there.
That's right.
How was that?
That was pretty awesome. I took my son to his first Major League Baseball game. He had been to a couple of Fighting Illini games, which he thoroughly enjoyed. You've probably heard me say it before, but he is just in love with baseball.
He's crazy.
He watches the Sandlot every day. He's always carrying his little baseball bat. He doesn't even like to hit off a tee. He wants me to pitch it to him. He hasn't turned 2.5 yet. So if we get to T-ball, he might be one of those like, you actually, all right, put the ball on the tee. Yeah, he's like, I want you to toss it to me. And, of course, I'm going to brag on him and say that he's pretty good at this stage.
I'm guessing he is if he's able to do that. I mean that.
Yeah. So my wife and I and my son went. My daughter's 6 months, stayed back at home. But
makes sense.
He was just – we knew he was going to be giddy. Like, we kept telling him what we were going to do, and he acted excited, but he didn't, like, fully know. And gets into the stadium, you could tell he's just in awe. Like, he's in shock at first a little bit. But, I mean, you're part of what was consecutively 3 straight lowest attendance games in Busch Stadium history in that series with Milwaukee. Now, Cardinals did ultimately win 2 of 3.
Yeah.
Got to see a 3-0 victory yesterday, which was great. But sat about 14 rows behind the dugout, the home dugout, which really wasn't that expensive.
I was going to say, this is the time to go right now.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. A beautiful afternoon. So it really couldn't have gotten any better. A couple of little anecdotes from it. And this is something that really had me thinking yesterday. I was talking to Haley about this and said I wanted to mention it on the radio. So she had a good idea. Hey, as warm-ups are concluding, let's go down right above the dugout.
Perfect.
We made him a little sign.
I love the sign.
My first Cardinals game, and then it said just win. 2 ends on that for Mason Wynn. A little picture of Mason Wynn on there. And I held the sign while Haley held him, and they were waving at the players as they were coming off the field. And I appreciated the fact and loved that, Lars Nootbaar's the first one that comes off and gives Kate a big smile and a wave.
That's
and
cool.
Nato gives him a wave when he comes off.
That's awesome, man. Hall of Famer, maybe.
I know, right? Perennial All-Star.
Yeah.
And Mason was kind of like business-like, head down, didn't look. And I was a little, I don't want to say it was bummed, but it would have been cool if he saw the sign and whatnot. But Brendan Donovan was the last guy off, and he had 3 balls in his glove as he was coming off, kind of picking up those that they were warming up with. And he saw Cade, he waved, and then next thing we know, somebody said, hey, he told me to give you this. And
that is awesome.
So Cade got immediately before the game even started a Major League Baseball. So he was thrilled. He held on to it the entire time.
You have to get that autographed.
I know.
Somehow. I mean, you can do that. Well, I mean, you could send it to Claves. He'd do it.
That'd be cool.
That would be awesome to get that autograph.
That'd be cool. So that's what made me think is that we're in this position, and we of course do a lot of discussing about the performance on the field, and for good reason. That's our job. And in my writing too, at Illini Inquirer, do a very close evaluation of the season, and you talk about games and performances. And when guys are not playing well, you're going to talk about them not playing well, and you keep it respectful, and
sure.
It's professional and not personal or anything like that. But it was a different vantage point to get to see the fan side of it and to see what players can mean to a fan, or especially a young fan, and that those interactions. And sometimes I feel like we maybe don't think enough about who those guys are.
That's a good point.
And how they treat, their fans, people around them, those type of things. So, yeah, I mean, Nolan Arenado has the lowest OPS he's had since he was a rookie. And the Cardinals are not a good team.
Right.
They're still a below 500 team, and we're going to talk about that. And we've been critical about them for the last handful of months, and I still feel the same way I feel about the organization, Oli Marmol, John Mozeliak. But it struck me to know that, my son probably won't remember it, but I will always remember that exchange, those waves, that baseball. And I just think that that's really cool because I've seen it at that. I've seen it at the Illinois level.
Right.
The look on fans' faces when Coleman Hawkins goes up to him, or Io, or Terrence Shannon, or whatnot. And sometimes I don't feel like I give enough attention to that, or just we focus so much on the performance, and sometimes that seems to slip by the wayside. But I know it's part of part of the deal here and what we do and what they do and everything, but that's just something that came to mind.
It's very cool. Like, nobody wants our autograph. Nobody wants to bring their kids in to watch us do a radio show. So they are in a position where they're just like you and I. We would love to have somebody come in, like, bring their child in and watch the show. That'd be awesome, right? But for them, they're in that position where that happens to them all the time. And, you know, when you think about it, too, for baseball especially, you're playing 162 games over, 180 days or whatever it is. I mean, that's a lot.
It's a grind.
And for those guys to, you know, just be able to just recognize the moment for you guys. You know, I'm sure it happens every game.
Yeah, of course.
You know, I'm sure
it's somebody's first game every game.
Exactly. And maybe there's a different player. Maybe there's three. Maybe it's Goldie and Wynn and somebody else tonight or something. But for them to be able to do that, they probably don't even realize what it means to you, right?
Sure.
They probably don't. So that's awesome, man. I wonder how he'll watch a game now. Like, I'm trying to get back to like 2.5 years old. I'm trying, not me, but like when my kids were 2.5. Like, does he have the idea that when he watches now a Cardinals game, he'll be like, I was there. Like, I sat right there. Because you'll be able to see your seat probably when a righty's up or a lefty, I mean, and they're taking that from the third baseline.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if he'll have that ability, or maybe as he gets a little bit older.
Yeah.
That you have to watch.
He loves to go back and watch videos on my phone, like things that we made sure, my wife and I, to take a lot of videos of him.
That's
and
awesome.
he was into like cheering and all that kind of stuff, really enthusiastic. The thing that my wife said it beautifully. I wish you could come on and say it. It was almost like what you just said was poetic. Because he's kind of to the point where he doesn't quite recognize like what team to cheer for.
Yeah.
Like he just cheers for plays.
Right.
And that's the thing. She's like, he wasn't cheering for the red team or the blue team. He was cheering for the ball and the bat. I'm
That's
like, man,
cool.
that just
Wow.
that hit me somewhere. Like that people are out there going to shed a tear when they hear that. Like, but that's what he does.
Maybe
like,
the wrong person's writing in the family.
I know, right? Exactly. But that's kind of the cool vantage point of a kid. They're just watching. They love the game. They don't necessarily know anything else.
Yep.
And they're just cheering for things to happen.
That's so cool. That's so cool.
I thought that was pretty special. It's definitely something I'll remember for the rest of my life.
I can tell by looking at you and the way you're talking about it. Like, you're almost emotional with it. And it's just something that's really cool. And I've experienced all that now. And now to watch guys like you and Jeremy and just watch you guys have your kids grow up and get to take part in all that. It's just it's really cool being a parent. It really is.
Yeah, it is. And just to see how people were excited for him to be there.
Yeah.
I think, and even talking to some people, like, it does make you think of when you were a kid. Like, what were your early experiences of going to games, and whether you were with your dad or mom or both or family or whatnot. So then you start to like reminisce about your experiences. So that was really cool. And yeah, for him to have that,
that's awesome.
Was really awesome. I will say though, the thing that he talks, he's at the stage where he doesn't tell full stories, but you can tell he's trying to tell you a story.
Yeah.
And the thing that he's talked about endlessly is Fred Bird. He was obsessed with Fred Bird.
Did Fred Bird like bite his head?
He didn't go up. No.
Oh, okay.
So like Cardinals Caravan, he got a high five from Fred Bird.
Oh,
that's
gotcha.
still something he remembers and talks about.
That's incredible.
Especially when he sees a picture. But yeah, like anything that Fred Bird did, and they were like shooting T-shirts into the crowd, and he'll like point up and like, oh, and then like I know what he's saying. He's saying like he shot it so high in the sky. Like, anyways, I know people get the picture. I could do 2 hours of it.
How funny is that? Well, Fred Bird ate Andrew's head like when he was here for a Caravan, and Andrew was absolutely terrified of that guy for about 5 years. I mean, I think he was like 8 before he would finally like not cringe when Fred Bird walked by. He was scared to death of him. So it was so fun. I'm like, dude, he just beaked you. I mean, it's not like he was doing anything.
Right.
but it just like terrorized Andrew. So I'm glad that Kay didn't have that same experience with Fred Bird. No. Oh, man, that is so cool. It's awesome. Yeah, 217. My son is 1. I can't wait to take him to his first Cardinals, Illini, or Bears game. I don't know. That Bears game might be interesting.
I will always remember my first Bears game.
Oh.
I was in middle school. My dad and I had season tickets when they came to Memorial Stadium. 10, 11 years old.
Like,
and you're like, whoa.
I'm telling on you.
Yeah, right.
Like,
exactly. Like, this is a different animal. But yeah, no, as I grew up, I love going to Bears games, obviously. Love just the environment up there. Again, it's a different there's some things I wish I could mix in with some Illinois stuff.
Yes.
There's just an intensity about it. But yeah, there is obviously the other side too.
It's kind of like it's the chance for a guy to just be a caveman.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
For
it's
sure.
like you kind of have to behave at a college game a little bit, right? But you get to an NFL game and it's like all bets are off.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. It's like I am going to show you exactly who I am. That's crazy. I know Ralph said his daughter went to school at SCC for volleyball. She loved it. Very nice campus. That's awesome.
Nice.
That's cool. That's awesome. And Lindy said the purest of all baseball. I know exactly how you feel, Pipes. Happy for you.
Appreciate it, Lindy.
I know Lindy. I know baseball means so much to him with his entire family. So that's cool, man. That is so cool that happened. Sorry for everybody for like Piper and I like stealing the
doing
mic.
Family time here. Yeah.
Right. People are like, can we hear something about Illinois football or Illinois basketball? No, I'm kidding. Those are two really cool things for you and I. And it's amazing how, as proud as I was for Andrew signing with the college,
to a lot of people.
There's no doubt because everybody has the chance to go through that, and that's what's cool.
Yeah, and I'll hope, and there's plenty out there with younger kids. We'll hope that they're in that position that Andrew's in to be a college athlete, to have their efforts and progression athletically to be recognized, and then for them to. I think that's awesome. So
that's cool. I appreciate that. I do. You'll have to take your daughter to her first Caitlin Clark game.
Yeah, right. For real, no doubt.
Yeah. I mean, Jay Lehman said that where was that?
They went to
Purdue,
Mackey,
right?
Yeah.
It was Mackey.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, my daughter was over the moon. Do you think the Taylor Swift thing will be done by the time your daughter's old enough to realize that? Or are you going to have to do that too? Or is that a Haley?
You know, it's funny.
Like, Haley, you're all about Taylor Swift. Go get it.
Haley does like Taylor Swift, so it will probably still be going.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not to this extent. But it was funny. So we had some issues, not to go like full on. We're just going to tell stories the whole time.
Well, I never had a daughter, so that I'll learn new things from you, like in those experiences.
Had some issues with StubHub on the way to the game and wanted to get the tickets prior to. Long story short, had to call the StubHub customer service.
Oh, geez.
And it goes, all right, if you are calling about tickets you bought, press 1. If you're calling about tickets you sell, press 2. So after you press 1 for tickets you bought, this is how different Taylor Swift is. It goes, if you bought tickets to Taylor Swift, press 1. For all other ticket purchases, press 2.
Serious?
I'm like, that's how different the Taylor Swift ball game is. It's just different. And it's wild. I can't believe it.
My gosh, I give her props. I don't really listen to Taylor Swift, but
I don't either.
She must be captivating and amazing.
They got their own team, customer service representatives for Taylor Swift tickets only, because that's just a different ballgame.
Holy cow, that is crazy. Yeah. 217, we'll definitely wait for him to be older before the Bears game. Yeah. Although maybe at this age he'll hear words that he doesn't realize are bad words, and he'll let it just kind of roll off of him. Well.
Although if the team's winning a lot more than
they'll be happy.
They've done in my lifetime, then it's a happy drunk crowd.
Happy. I know the one time I told you that I went and I had a Jake Plummer jersey on, and we were walking from McCormick Place to Soldier, and I was with my brother, and Lance immediately is like, dude, don't be carrying on conversations. He's like, Bears fans don't. Like, they're in a different, thought right now. So I walk by, there's 20 guys drinking beer, and I'm just like, oh, no. So we get by him. I know I've told this story before. We get by him about 10 feet, and this guy goes, Plummer? Really? He does that. And I turn around, and I'm, who was the Miller? Jim?
Jim Miller, yeah.
I turn around, and I'm like, Jim Miller? And the rest of the crowd, the 19 other guys are like, oh, he burned your... So my brother's like, let's go. But they were all laughing. They're like, yeah, that's a good point. We got no reason to rip on Plummer. But that is one of those where it's like, okay, Lon, just shut up. Get to your seat.
Yeah.
Hope that you're sitting around somebody cool, somebody's grandma. Then everybody's like, all right, well, he's next to that grandma. We're not going to be too hard on him.
Man.
It's like, oh, that's so cool.
You're too likable, I feel like, to get. I've seen you get riled up, though, for Cardinals games, because I can imagine tensions could be high.
Well,
we do all say about you, like, there are no enemies of Lonte.
No.
Like, everyone's just a friend of Lon.
And they're all, like, the Cardinals have always been horrible. So, like, there's no really any reason to hate me.
Right.
Like, right. Like at Lambeau, when I sat in the middle of I had I had a Plumber jersey on, I think. Yeah, it would have been Plumber. And everybody around me is like, uh-oh, Plummer's here. And I'm like, guys, come on. You're going to beat us by 35. They're like, yeah, we like guys like you, you know? It's like, I mean, it's not like I'm walking in with a Mahomes jersey or an Aaron Rodgers, you know, from the Packers, or where they're like, oh, wait, he's actually better than us. You know, for me, it's like, give him a break.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel like when you go to a game, and I know Kyle's going to do his Kyle thing and say, we need a break here.
Yeah.
Because that's what he's supposed to do and why he's back.
Kyle's like, geez, I had some cool stories about Michigan, but I'm not even going to take the mic now.
Like, if you're in a road venue, you almost appreciate maybe a little bit of trash talk. He's like, oh, yeah, this is supposed to happen.
Yeah.
It's like almost sometimes the niceness can throw you off. I went to a Illinois-Missouri football game, and it was 2007. It was Jay Lehman, the Rose Bowl year. They lost a heartbreaker. They were down big at half. They stormed back. Eddie McGee, I think there was a late pick.
Eddie McGee, yes.
And they almost won, but they fell short. And we were in a Missouri section, and there was the lady was trying to be nice, but me and my buddy were kind of devastated. Not really. I mean, we were just down. We were frustrated. They're like, oh, they'll play again, guys. They'll play again.
They'll play again.
They'll play again line, like, has stuck with us. Like, they'll play again. Like, she just had to say they'll play again. She couldn't just be like, yeah, you guys suck. I'm like,
right. Yeah, then you'd be like, you'd take it better.
Like, they'll play again.
It's the "We are proud of you" chant after you lose by 15 in junior high. Yeah. And you're coming off the court and, like, your fellow classmates that are cheerleaders like, we are proud of you. It's like, no, you're not.
Exactly.
You're not proud of us. We just got beat by B-Mint by 15. I mean, nobody gets beat. You're just like, no, you're not proud of us. Well, every class reunion, we bring that up to the girls that were cheerleaders. We're like, did you guys really have to do the "we are proud of you" crap? They're like, do you think we wanted to do that?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Anyways.
That's awesome.
Well, having fun on a Friday.
Good stuff.
We will talk.
It is Friday, man. I've been off this is weird, I guess, working almost every day on radio, because now I don't know if it's Wednesday, Thursday. Today I had to ask Betsy when I'm like, it is Friday, right? She goes, yeah. I'm like, okay. I just wanted to make sure. And I think the dog has got me all confused.
Don't ask me. On Wednesday, I had it all wrong.
Yeah, well, that was
all
the
my
thing.
days wrong.
Kyle, you want to talk about? Yeah, Derek thought it was Thursday, and then I thought it was Tuesday or something, and it was Wednesday.
It's all messed up.
We were just like, "Where's Kyle?" I
forgot which sponsor was for the phone.
Yeah,
I was thrown off, man.
It's just bad.
But Charlie's back, so we're in line.
Yeah, Charlie's keeping me up all night. So
yeah,
he's a fun little dog, though.
It's awesome.
He's a fun little dog.
We'll hear from Brett Bielema as we go along. Spoke today as training camp is wrapped up and they're heading towards game prep.
Kyle's like, well, you're not hearing from him this hour because you guys just went 40 freaking minutes.
Right, no doubt.
Here, I'll just say it for you, Kyle.
I do want to, we discussed on Wednesday maybe going through each position group for Illini football and giving our preseason grade on that, just kind of the outlook as we wrap up our just general season thoughts. And we do need to at one point get a prediction in pen from all of us as well, but a lot to do. We appreciate all of those. The text line's been very active, a lot of kind words on there, and cool stories too that people have shared about their experiences. 217-359-2255 on the Max Twin City Recycling text line if you want to weigh in. We'll be back. This is The Drive.
Hey, where are you headed?
To Kelsey Furniture in Tuscola.
What do they have there?
What don't they have there? Living room furniture, benches, chests, love seats, sectionals, tables, bedroom sets, hutches, nightstands, end tables, cabinets, mirrors, stools, clocks, lamps, pillows, rugs, desks, media consoles, patio furniture, Tempur-Pedic mattresses, and more.
So, everything.
Yeah, probably could have just said that.
Kelsey Furniture, quality for less.
Mom, she won't stop touching me. Broccoli stinks.
Guys, no phones at the table.
Family dinner time? Not easy. But you know what is easy? OSF On-Call Urgent Care. When you need convenient, affordable care for minor illnesses and injuries, you need OSF On-Call Urgent Care. Be seen in person or connect 24/7 online when and where you need it. Learn more at osfoncall.org/urgent care.
Ladies, we have saved a day just for you. Mahomet Christian Church offers a welcoming invitation for each and every one of you to join our inspiring annual women's conference. This year, join us as we will introduce an incredible author, Grace Kachaturian, and her book, It's Okay, Finding Peace in Unexpected Places. Register today as inspiration will be shared. Saturday, September 7th, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Your ticket will cover all meals, sessions, and the golden opportunity to listen as Grace's journey will touch your heart and offer a beacon of hope. Mahomet Christian Church's annual women's conference. Get excited, get registered, and get ready for the author, Grace Kachaturian. Tickets are just $35 for the entire day's festivities, and we're looking forward to seeing you. Limited space is available, so sign up today. MahometChristian.org. MahometChristian.org.
In an ever-changing real estate market, it is so important to work with experienced agents like Russ and Nick Taylor with the Taylor teams at Taylor Realty Associates. They have the knowledge and expertise to get your home sold for the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time. Trust the experience and success of Russ and Nick Taylor with the Taylor team at Taylor Realty Associates. Give them a call today at 217-355-0700 or visit them online at taylorboys.com. That's taylorboys.com.
BMW, Buick, GMC, Honda, and Subaru. Welcome to Sarah Champagne. We can handle all your car repairs on site, including paintless dent repair, bumpers, windshields, everything in between. We have an amazing selection of new or pre-owned vehicles to choose from. Shop from home and buy online or reserve your vehicle before it hits our website or dealership. Sarah Champagne is home of the Sarah One Price Promise, delivering an honest and transparent buying experience. Hurry in or shop online at sarahchampagne.com.
Racing, racing, racing. Friday Night Lights at Farmer City Raceway is a blast. Only $15 admission and kids 12 and under are free. Make arrangements to get your RV and reserve a place to camp. This Friday, August 23rd, there'll be Dyer's Top Rods Mods, Kids Mods, and a full show. Head to 850 Grove Street in Farmer City with hot laps at 6:30. Details at farmercityracing.com. You'll buy the whole seat, but you'll only need the edge. Ow! A spring just hit me.
Mom, the couch is broken again.
It's about time we get rid of that clunky couch and look into buying a new one.
What about Two Men in a Junk Truck? Their professional moving team does a great job assisting with downsizing, home renovations, and clearing out old items you need hauled away.
Wow, it sounds like it'll make much more space in this house once the couch is hauled away.
I just pulled it up on my phone. You can schedule an appointment online at twomeninajunktruck.com.
Looking for the best deal on your next vehicle? Visit Sarah Champagne, where your dream car awaits. From sleek sedans to rugged SUVs, they've got it all. Their unbeatable prices and exceptional customer service make car buying a breeze. Plus, with their hassle-free financing options, driving off in your new ride has never been easier. Sarah Champagne, Honda, BMW, Subaru, Buick, GMC. Visit them today. Sarah, S-E-R-R-A, Champagne.com.
Do you have great customer service skills and cash handling experience? If so, Prospect Bank could be the place for you. Our Champaign branch is looking for a dedicated, hardworking, friendly employee to join our team. Does working at a dog-friendly bank with great benefits and competitive products and services sound like something for you? Come join me, Jason Bergner, Senior Vice President, and either continue or start your career in banking today. Visit our website at bankprospect.com and click on Careers to apply.
Back on the drive with Sam Piper, ESPN Radio 93.5. Hey, week 0 starts tomorrow.
Oh, what?
Got
really?
The Ireland game, Florida State and Georgia Tech.
The days when we were going to play the Ireland game.
I know, right? Wouldn't that be cool?
That would be cool. What is it again? Who is it?
Florida State plays Georgia Tech.
Okay. Florida State's supposed to be pretty good this year.
Yes.
I would assume.
Even after losing Jordan Travis, their quarterback, who that injury obviously kept them out of the college football playoff.
That's right.
They get DJU. Kyle, he can do the two of on point. Can you do the?
I think it's
Uyangalale.
Wow, how did you even I was watching Kyle from the side, and his tongue did weird things. Like when you were saying that, like your tongue spun upside down or something, and I was like, what? Is that really his name?
There's a joke to be made there. I'm not going to.
Yeah, no, right. We're gonna. It's Friday. What the hell?
Imagine being New Mexico and they're hosting an FCS team, Montana State, and they're nearly 2 touchdown underdogs.
Oh my!
That being New Mexico.
Oh my! That was whoever that AD was that made that one. They're like, that probably wasn't a smart idea. Or a football coach.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Then if you want to watch late night, Lon will be up for this one. 11 o'clock kick tomorrow night. Hawaii plays Delaware State.
Ooh, man.
Hawaii's laying 40 points.
On the Hens?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm taking the Hens and the points.
Okay.
And that means I'll stay up and watch it. Charlie will have me up.
I'm sure he would.
It'd just be Charlie and I hanging on the couch. I mean, I might as well put the football game on.
I'm sure he would.
So the first good game will be Florida State and Georgia Tech.
That's right. 11 a.m. tomorrow.
That's awesome. That'd be a conference game, right?
Yeah.
It's ACC. So dangerous anymore for me to even mention something like that. I don't know who's in what conference. I don't even know the Big Ten anymore, hardly.
I didn't know this until recently, or maybe I need to be reminded. They're like, oh, yeah, SMU's in the ACC. And I was like, SMU's in the ACC?
That makes sense for a Dallas team to be.
I knew technically, not technically, it is Cal and Stanford in the ACC, but I'd forgotten SMU.
That is crazy.
There's a weird schedule thing, too, this year where some teams scheduled non-conference games way back 8 years ago against teams that now join their conference.
Oh,
so, I think Kansas State and Arizona play this year, and they're both in the Big 12, but it's a non-conference game because they scheduled it back in 2017, so it's not going to count towards their conference record.
Do they play twice?
No, they just play that one time, but I've seen that 3 or 4 times throughout the country where that has happened.
Wow.
So something I want to do, football-related, Illini football-related, actually, is the position grades.
Okay.
So let's do this. Let's get it rolling, because if we just talk about it, we're not going to ever get there.
Right.
And next time we have a show, it'll be game week. Jay Lehman will be here, and it'll quickly progress into, hey, what's your thoughts on Eastern Illinois, which we're going to get, I think, some of those from Brett Bielema before we get out of here. But let's start offensively. Don't have to go super in-depth, but I figured a letter grade, A through F. Of course, you got the plus and minuses.
Yep.
Let's do each position group. Now, with quarterback, you got one guy, and hopefully it is one guy playing the entirety of the season. So at some, maybe you're thinking depth or who's the number 2, number 3 at a certain spot. I think I would, in terms of quarterback, focus almost solely on Luke Altmaier.
Yeah.
What would you guys go? And I want Kyle to weigh in on this as well. What's your letter grade for Illinois football at quarterback?
I think I'm higher than most. I think Luke Altmaier coming into a second year, as we've talked about, under Barry Lunney. Lunney knows him now. He knows what he can do. I think Altmaier got kind of the nerves out last season. He was sketchy early, but kind of picked it up late. I know the injury. In a weird way, I wonder if it wasn't good for him to sit out a couple of games and kind of take what he was able to see from the sideline maybe and hopefully put that into his arsenal. I would probably, and I am going to include the rest of the quarterbacks here only for this reason. Not that I don't expect Donovan Leary to be decent if he has to come in, but it always seems like you have to use a backup, right, at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So it worries me that your backup really doesn't have any action. And hopefully he can get some against Eastern and Central Michigan. But I would probably go, it's probably would be B- for just Altmaier or C+ if I'm including the rest of the quarterback. And the fear I would have if Leary has to come in second quarter against, Kansas, let's say. And who knows, maybe he comes in, spins it, and you're like, whoa, hey, we got another John Paddock here. But I'm pretty high on Altmaier. I think he's going to be fine. He won't be the reason that you don't get to a bowl game. I'll put it that way. If you don't, in other words.
Yeah. Kyle, what do you think?
I was right at a C+. That's where I landed on quarterback. I still think Altmaier has a lot to prove in terms of being like a top half Big Ten quarterback after what he did last year, but I'm with you. I think he's going to have a good year. I do wonder what that would look like if he did get hurt, which we, of course, did see last year. And I think like the last 5 years, Illinois had to use a backup quarterback. So, but I think it's for many years, Illinois was at a D- or a D at quarterback. And so for Illinois standards, I think a C+ is fine. I think Altmaier can ultimately elevate higher than that.
Yeah, I think if we're grading on a curve, the Illinois quarterback recent history curve, like you could make an argument that maybe it is a B- if we're only doing Altmaier. I do think what's behind him would drag down the grade a little bit. I don't think there's a lot of depth there. I wonder about Donovan Leary. We just haven't seen him. And I think also, some of the young guys, Trey Petty, Cal Swanson, will Cal ultimately stick at quarterback there? I think that's a question too, but we don't have to spend time on that.
Trey Petty.
Yeah. Altmaier, agree with a lot of what you guys have said. Can he come out and prove that he is undoubtedly going to be a 3-year starter at Illinois, going to be the guy that you build around, face of the franchise type? I think he can be that, but he needs to still show it and show that he can progress as far as his reads and getting the ball out quicker and those type of things. So, again, I think B- if you want to really scale it towards what Illinois had over the last really post Juice Williams or post Nate Shieldhouse. But I'll side with you guys, make it a consensus. Let's do C+.
Okay. All right. Marcus is already knocking us here. He says B- is high?
Not necessarily, no.
I see where he's going.
It wouldn't be like high as in too high.
Right.
Above average. I mean, if a C is average, it's above average.
I think you've got an above average quarterback.
If you got your own grade, feel free to shoot it in. 217-359-2255, Max Twin City Recycling text line. I think we'll get higher than a C+, probably higher than a B- on running backs. Caden Fagan, Aidan Laughley, Josh McCray. What do you think as far as that position goes?
Well, you know what? There's not another group that can achieve this grade, and I'm going for it. I'm going to go A-. I just don't think there's nothing not to like about your running back room. You have speed, you have size, you have two guys that can wear down defensive lines with Caden Fagan and Josh McCray. You've got Laughley for speed. I don't know if Cecil Valentine will come in and show a little. We don't know what Jordan Anderson, he's been hurt since he's gotten on campus, so I can't imagine he would have much of an impact. But I think you've got a star in Caden Fagan. And I liked what Josh McCray did his freshman year before injuries really took over for him. And I think Laughley, again, is a guy that could kind of a change of pace back in a series that could get you some, like, what do they call those blank plays, like those plus plays or whatever that you weren't expecting.
Shot plays.
Yeah, something like that get you down the field 12 yards on a swing or something. So I'm going to go A- for this group. I'm very high on the running back room, and I think if they hadn't had so many injuries last year, I think this team would have been a bowl game. I said that you won't miss a bowl game because of Luke Altmaier. I think this team makes a bowl game if your running back room performs like it should. So I'm going to go A-.
I think the one thing that holds me back from getting to an A on this group is there's some injury concerns with, I think, almost every guy here. But I do think if this three-headed monster of Fagan, McCray, and Laughley, obviously we expect Fagan to be the lead guy, and I think he's going to have a monster year.
I do too.
I think that is a really solid group, and I think Illinois is going to need to lean on them a lot more than they did last year with how much they passed last year and how ineffective the run game was. I think that's going to be a huge key for Illinois this year. I'm probably going to stick at a B+, though, because I do just have some concerns if a couple of those guys go down, what it could look like.
I'm with you as far as Kyle talking about the one red flag injury-wise. We could talk about who Josh McCray was as a freshman, but it's seemed like a long time since then.
It has been.
Maybe he'll prove me wrong or just wipe that recent history away with actually being lighter and staying healthy and being able to be out there. But outside of that, Fagan, can he play a full season, full workload? I think he is a monster when he's out there. When you combine the size and physicality of him. And then Lawfrey would be a potentially really nice weapon to just be something different. With make you miss ability, elusive. So to be different from you guys, I'll say B because of injury concern, and maybe if McCray isn't who we're kind of thinking he can get back to, but I could definitely see the A- and B+ as well.
I think McCray will be a storyline this year. And that's not meaning that I don't think Caden Fagan's going to have a big year. I just think Josh McCray is going to be a storyline in a positive way. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's a hot take. I don't know if that's a hot take. But I feel like he's going to have an impact on this season in a positive way.
I like it. Yeah, no, that would be huge. Wide receiver, Pat Bryant, Zachary Franklin, Malik Elzy in that mix, Kenari Wilcher, some other guys potentially going to get some reps as well. Zachary was a huge needle mover in terms of this grade. Woo. Where are you at now that we know that he's on board?
I think I'm going to go solid B on the wide receivers because you've added a guy that is proven. He's a proven vet. We get to hear a lot of what's happening, but when you hear either from the coaches, the players, or the guys covering the team, they tell you, and even his quarterback, Altmaier, says, it's just weird how he's always open. Like that's kind of a cool statement to get from a quarterback, basically saying, how's he open again? Like, I'm going to hit him again. So I think Franklin's huge. I think Pat Bryant showed a lot last year, and now that he doesn't have to be the top gun necessarily, that he can kind of fit into his role. I think I told you that I felt like this unit was a little bit off. How do I say this? In other words, I don't know that Pat Bryant's a 1, but he was going to have to be a 1. I don't know that Malik Elzy is a 2 yet, but he'd have to be a 2. But when Zachary Franklin signed and committed, it almost pushed everybody exactly where they need to be. Like, now Malik Elzy can kind of explode onto the scene, hopefully, as a sophomore, have a couple of games where he was kind of that storyline of that game. And then Kenari Wilcher's got the speed in the slot. So, yeah, I'm high on this group. I'm high on this offense. So, if I'm giving a B- to Altmaier, then he's going to have somebody else to help him get to that. So I would say a straight B for the wide receivers. Kyle?
I think I'm right in agreement with you on a B. I think it's a deep group too. It's deeper than it's been in some past years, where I feel like behind those top 2 guys, there's 5 or 6 guys that I could see breaking out, and that are whether that's Malik Elzy with how talented he is, whether that's Wilcher with his speed, whether that's Colin Dixon, who is a big get for Illinois, whether Mario Sanders, a guy had like 1,200 yards in JUCO. I think it's a pretty deep group alongside those top 2, and I think it's just a solid, reliable receiver group where I could see those top 2 guys being around 750, 800 yards, and then maybe 4 or 5 other guys making an impact in a game here and there as well.
I'm with you.
I'm going to go B-. Okay. Only a little bit lower because of outside of LZ and Bryant, which I love as a duo. I think sometimes I even forget that Pat Bryant had 7 touchdowns last year.
I know.
I was listening to the Illini Inquirer podcast recently. Jeremy and Joey brought that up. And
Cheater.
Yeah, I know, right? And I was like, oh, yeah, what, 7? And the record for a season for Illinois is 10. Brandon Lloyd and David Williams had 10. So
right?
He'd get a couple more. Then we're talking about a record-setting or record-tying type of production season. I love that you're asking him more to be so like a wide receiver 2 than like a full-fledged wide receiver 1 and not having much around him. Otherwise, in terms of proven commodities, Zachari's had a huge season, 2 of them at UTSA, now coming over, like you mentioned, familiarity and all that with the system. But, Kenari Wilcher had 4 catches last year. Malik didn't even have one, I don't think. So knocking it down a little bit because of behind them, while Kyle said there are a number of potentially capable guys, we just haven't really seen a whole lot from those. So
Malik didn't have a catch?
I don't think so.
He did.
Oh, he did.
He caught a touchdown in garbage time of that Penn State
through
game.
Here. You're right. Thank you.
I remember him, catching. I was thinking you said touchdown, and then I was like, hold on, did he just say he didn't have a catch? I wasn't sure. I mean, I know he didn't have a lot.
I missed him on this stat sheet. You're right.
You weren't
5.
that far off.
I would say he probably didn't have a catch in a game that was in reach.
Yeah, right. Good call. That's good.
Thanks for cleaning that up for me, Kyle. Love you for that.
Making you feel better. He's being nice first day back.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Next
3
week,
catches in that Penn State game.
Okay.
Late touchdown, yeah. And then 2 in the Purdue game, but outside of that, no catches.
Okay. I like that.
Sorry, Malik. My bad. 5 catches for him, 4 for Canary, and yeah.
Okay. A couple of unproven guys that need to step up for Illinois, no doubt.
No doubt. We'll do offensive line and defense next hour, as well as Brett Bielema spoke to the media today. We'll be back. This is The Drive.
You're listening to WSJK ESPN 93.5 Tuscola, Champaign-Urbana, your home for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Decide this presidency.
During today's announcement, Kennedy accused Democrats, his former party, of unfair and dishonest tactics, including legal challenges to his ballot access. A written statement from the Democratic National Committee says good riddance, accusing Kennedy of running a spoiler campaign for Trump from the beginning. A Memphis area man is indicted over threats he's accused of making on social media against President Biden, Vice President Harris, and former President Obama.
According to this indictment, he made threats to crash the plane of President Biden, meaning Air Force One, and also made threats to assassinate former President Barack Obama and current Vice President Kamala Harris.
Fox's David Spunt, 37-year-old Kyle Hall is in custody, charged with multiple counts. 5 Secret Service agents are no longer in the field, moved to administrative duties as part of the ongoing probe of security failures in the Trump assassination attempt. Federal prosecutors recommending 40 years in prison for a former Memphis police officer, the second one to plead guilty to federal civil rights violations in the traffic stop beating death of Tyree Nichols last year. America is listening to Fox News.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks VapoStick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks VapoStick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And when you need more comfort for yourself, try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks vapors. Use as directed. VapoStick for use ages 4 and up. Vapo Shower Max use for adults only.
The best things in life, they come in twos. 2 scoops of ice cream, 2 tacos. And now for a limited time, get our best deal of the year. Buy any phone when you switch to Consumer Cellular and get 2 months of service free. That's right, the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage as Big Wireless, now with 2 months free. Proof the best things in life really do come in twos. Visit ConsumerCellular.com or call 1-888-FREEDOM. Second and third month of monthly base service fee waived for new customers with the purchase of a phone and activation by September 2nd, 2024. Taxes, fees, and third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
A Maryland police officer is convicted on multiple counts over his role in the Capitol riot, including throwing a smoke bomb into a tunnel entrance. A federal judge finding Montgomery County officer Justin Lee guilty of 2 felonies and 3 misdemeanors, acquitting him of 2 other misdemeanors. The 26-year-old officer, who's already suspended, will face sentencing in November and termination proceedings. He was hired 6 months after the riot, before his department found out he was under FBI investigation. A lawsuit over a COVID lockdown gets a green light to keep going from North Carolina's highest court.
In the early days of the pandemic, North Carolina's Governor Roy Cooper limited outdoor events to 25 people. Ace Speedway in Alamance County hosted a race attended by about 2,500 people, posting a sign at later races calling them peaceful protest of injustice and equality. The governor declared the track an imminent hazard. A judge ordered it closed. Track operator Robert Turner sued the state's Health and Human Services secretary, saying the state violated his constitutional right by trying to make an example of him. The North Carolina State Supreme Court has now agreed with the lower court ruling that rejected the state's claim of sovereign immunity in an effort to dismiss the case. Jack Callahan, Fox News.
The Fed is ready to start cutting interest rates.
4.5 years after COVID-19's arrival, the worst of the pandemic-related economic distortions are fading.
So, Fed Chair Jerome Powell says the time has come for the policy to adjust as both inflation and the job market cool. Powell also says the timing and pace of rate cuts will depend on incoming data, but a cut is widely expected at the Fed meeting next month. And that helped stocks rally to almost back to record highs today. The Dow finishing up 462 points. The S&P and the Nasdaq also gaining more than 1%. I'm Lisa Brady. This is Fox News.
Logan, everyone, let's check weather for Central Illinois, Champaign and vicinity. Welcome to Friday and hip hip hooray for the upcoming weekend. Summertime weather returns across the area. Minimal rainfall chances over the back end of the weekend. Better organization to rainfall probably a week from now. Come next Friday. Looks to be a warm next Thursday evening over Memorial Stadium for Illini football. Warmer this afternoon, mostly sunny up to 83. Light southeast to south wind for tonight. Increasing cloudiness will level off to a milder overnight low down to about 64. For the weekend, partly sunny, seasonal warmth back in for the day tomorrow. Mid and upper 80s. We'll target 87 tomorrow afternoon with a light southeast to south wind in the 60s and a stray shower late tomorrow night. Maybe an isolated shower here Sunday morning. Then very warm, more humid in the afternoon. Partly sunny, up close to 90. We'll make the lower 90s Monday and Tuesday. Highs near 90 next Wednesday. And maybe a shower or thunderstorm late Thursday night after football. More likely into next Friday. High temperatures late next week in the 80s. For Stevie J Broadcasting, I'm Pete Ultras, Greg Soldgay.
It is The Drive with Sam Piper, ESPN Radio 93.5. It is a Friday. We'll have to toast one up before we get out of here, so put that down on the to-do list for sure. Need to mention this before we shift gears back to football. Illinois will play yet another SEC team in basketball. This one, the exhibition game variety. We mentioned it as it's been reported by John Rothstein, but it's now been announced as official. Sunday, October 27th, Illinois headed to Oxford to play Ole Miss. That's a 1 p.m. Central tip on a Sunday. Lon and I were texting back and forth about this. I sent him an early text, which never happens. It's the other way around. And
I know
was
you
like,
did.
Oh, sorry for texting you early. And
it was like
whatever.
7 a.m.
Yeah,
I was
7.
like, whoa, Pipes send a text.
I'd been up with my daughter since 6, so I was like, need to check some things out. But I was like, how cool would it be if it's a similar date range as last year when Kansas came to town? Ole Miss is hosting Oklahoma on the 26th. Saturday the 26th.
Two ranked teams, 6 and 14 or something right now.
Yeah. ESPN has it listed number 6 Ole Miss, number 16 Oklahoma.
Okay.
It says that there's a note here. This is going to be either a noon Eastern kickoff or 1 p.m. Eastern kickoff for those teams, but the whole conversation was, hey, should Piper get there a day early, check out the Grove? Maybe I should buy a ticket to this game. I told you just now off the air, if you want to do that, I wouldn't say good luck. You're just going to have to dig into your pocket.
Yeah,
looks like about $170 is the cheapest available on the secondary market if you want to get into Ole Miss Stadium for that one. But I also wondered, and I'll have to maybe offer up some potential other options. That could be, if you're like an Atlanta fan wanting to go do that, maybe you'll see College Game Day on campus.
That's true.
For that Ole Miss-Oklahoma battle.
That's awesome.
Potential other matchups maybe. Bama hosts Missouri that weekend.
Okay.
Missouri preseason 11, Alabama number 5. Number 3, Oregon hosts Illinois. I don't know about that one. That was a little bit more of a joke. Miami's hosting Florida State. Those are 2 ranked teams. A&M's hosting LSU. Those are 2 ranked teams. Kansas State and Kansas, 2 ranked teams. So maybe you have a decent chance to see College Game Day there. But I'll have to decide whether I got to get there early enough to go to that game and whether I want to show up 170 to get a seat. But
I know last
we'll
year I spent $200 total for 2 tickets. And that was for Andrew and I. And we sat front row. Like, we were down at, like, the 10-yard line. We were actually right behind the Ole Miss cheerleaders. And I was like, well, this isn't a bad seat, for football-wise. It was a hell of a game. So I don't even know what 170 gets you for that game. Probably up. I think I would rather, now that I've been to that stadium twice, is it Vaught Stadium or something?
Yeah, Vaught Hemingway Stadium.
Vaught Hemingway. That sounds so, really, studious, I think this time, since I've been to actually 2 games, I think I would rather hang at the Grove and then go watch it at a local bar in Oxford. I think that would be your best move, unless you're just dying to go into the stadium. I'll be honest with you, the stadium doesn't do much for me. The Grove is what you go down there for. The stadium's kind of bland, to be honest with you. But it's cool to be in that.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure it'll be hyped up, especially if Ole Miss is maybe undefeated for that game. I don't know if they would have played Georgia or Bama by then.
Not sure.
They have high hopes for what this year can be. Get a ranked opponent. First time, I don't know what their history is, but you finally get Oklahoma now in the SEC.
Right.
Oklahoma probably not that. I don't know my what the MapQuest. I don't have MapQuest in my head, but I think I know geography well enough. But it shouldn't be too far of a drive for Oklahoma fans if they want to show up too.
I'm guessing they show up,
but it's kind of, it looks like 170 is pretty much giving you like what would be a horseshoe ticket. You're in one of the end zones.
Yeah, and that's not bad. That's not a bad seat there. So
45 rows up.
I think definitely you hit the Grove on Saturday.
Okay.
It's 8 hours, so I don't know if you drive a little bit on Friday but if that's a noon game Eastern, that's 11 here. So you'd have to leave at 2 a.m. to
I know.
So you'd almost have to go Friday and maybe stay within an hour or two of Oxford, get past Memphis. But you almost need to do that.
Yeah.
And I brought it up to Andrew, and he's like, do we have anything going on? And I'm like, well, you're probably going to have basketball practice Saturday. So that would probably take me too out of going. But I can
Me and Kyle are going.
Exactly. You know what? Andrew can do basketball and then get Charlie for the day, the dog. And then you and I will head down.
All right. Us three. Let's all
go. I'm in for that.
The drive is on the road.
Did I tell you I went to a Buc-ee's?
No, you didn't.
I mentioned Wagner, and I thought, so we were coming back from Andrew pitching down in Georgia, and I see a Buc-ee's, and it's like 4 miles. And I'm like, we don't need gas or anything. I said, man, I'm like, I got to go. Like, it's kind of like, I am so mad that I went. It was the most crowded place I've ever been in my life. And literally, if you can put 400 in there were 390. And I was like, this is ridiculous. But it was cool to see it. They don't have Mountain Dew, by the way, either. They just carry Coke products.
They don't have Mountain Dew?
Did not have Mountain Dew.
I would think that's just mega supersized.
I know.
Jerry World of a gas station has anything you could ever want.
Because Lucas and I both were like, we're going to get a Dew. Because we grabbed one of their barbecue sandwiches, the brisket. It was
pretty
really
good.
good.
Yeah, pretty good.
And I grabbed some caramel corn. You can just tell why I'm fat. My Buc-ee's trip consisted of caramel corn, brisket sandwich, and a Mountain Dew. But I went to get like a fountain Mountain Dew, and they just had Coke. And I'm like, so Lucas goes, well, I'll go check in the back, or where the what am I trying to say? Bottles.
Mm-hmm.
But it's only Coke. But it was ridiculously crazy.
Yeah.
And it was amazing how much money people were spending in there. They had carts and just crap in there. And I'm like, why are you buying that? So it was interesting. I could not wait to get out. I'm glad I've done it.
Been in there.
I've had their brisket sandwich. It was very good. I'm not going to lie to you. And then I saw a sign on the way out that you can be a GM of a Buc-ee's and make $125,000. No doubt. I'm like, well, except I'd have to put up with that crowd every day.
You would, yeah.
I'm like, that would take me about a week, and I'd be like, nope, I can't do it. I can't do it.
I'm glad you experienced it. So
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Kyler's going to Oregon to see the Illini pull off the upset. Kyler,
yeah,
might need to talk. That's cool, though, going to Oregon.
Oh, that stadium?
Oh, it'd be incredible. Marcus says 8-hour drive for Sooner fans. Heath, my niece
farther
is a
than I would
senior.
have thought.
Yep. His niece is a senior, and he's going to go to the game and exhibition. So, Joe just said make sure you walk the Grove. It is incredible. It's really cool. Last year, Marty and McGee were there. So we got there right after their show ended, Andrew and I. But we got to party. So the first time we went, he was 10. So we didn't do a lot of partying on the Grove. But he didn't party last year, but there was a group from Champaign there, so he was able to hang out with buddies while I did a little partying.
Should I bring a cooler on wheels and just stop at different places?
Let's go. People are so nice. People will just literally give you beer.
Really?
Yeah. I was carrying around, you can't carry, so it's weird. You cannot have cans or you can't have bottles. You can't have cans there.
That's where it's all red Solo cups?
It's like Solo cups or whatever. So when I was in a gas station, when Andrew was 10, I wanted to just get a couple of beers. And a guy behind me goes, hey, are you going to the game? Are you going down to tailgate? And I said, yeah, we're going to walk around. He's like, you have to get a cup. I'm like, are you serious?
Can you take the cans and then pour it in a cup?
That's what I did.
Okay,
I had a backpack kind of. Or what did I have?
You just can't be holding a can out there.
Right. You can't be holding a can.
Wow.
That's weird
That
to
is
me.
weird.
So I made the mistake of getting like a fountain 32-ounce, like styrofoam, and the beer is hot within a minute.
Sure, yeah.
So I was like, finally I saw some fans, and one guy was like, hey, you want to put your beer in ice? You can throw it in here if you want. I'm like, do you mind? He goes, no. So I sat there and visited with some Ole Miss fans for a little bit. I'm like, yeah, I went to SIU, and they're like, oh, sweet, because we were playing the Dogs, or the Dogs were playing them.
How about a trash can on wheels with a keg inside of it?
Yes!
And just like a mountain of ice.
I like that.
That sounds like a better plan.
I like that idea. But it's a pretty good walk to from your parking spot to where you're tailgating.
Fair enough.
So I don't know if you want to have a dolly of a garbage can with a keg in it. But listen, I mean, if you want to do that, I'll be there taking some of that beer out to make it lighter.
There you go.
During the trek.
There you go. There you go. I shouldn't probably do the lawn. You wear the Jake Plummer. Should I just show up in like a Baker Mayfield, Oklahoma jersey?
Oh.
No, I'm not going to do that. I don't have one of those.
That may cause some.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, no. You could wear an Illini jersey.
Sure. I could do that, yeah.
That'd throw them off. They're like, whoa, what? Oh, basketball tomorrow. Yeah, you'd really throw them off.
There you go.
I like that.
All right, let's return to our position grades. We got through 3 of them: quarterback, running back, wide receiver. Kyle did remind me that, number 1, that Malik Elzy caught some passes last year. Number 2, that tight ends exist, and we'll have to grade them, even though...
You wouldn't know it looking at the Illinois roster this year.
Fair enough.
I mean, aren't they normally an F? No, I'm kidding. Well,
F for forgotten.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to make this one quick. It's an
All right.
F. I have no faith in Tanner Arkin. In terms of production, now I'm not. Yeah. I don't know how good they are blocking. Admittedly, when I'm sitting there in the horseshoe, I'm not watching the tight end block necessarily, but I'll see it on occasion. I don't want to give anybody an F. I'll go D- because I do feel like Henry Boyer and Tanner Arkin will help open some holes. So I'll go D-, but I just think without Cole Rusk, I think even with Rusk, it'd probably be D+.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So I'll go D-, Kyle.
Yeah, I'll probably at a D because I do think, they're combined. Those two guys have 4 catches for 21 yards in their college career. So in terms of pass catching value, I don't. It would be an F- on that front.
Yeah.
But I do think blocking is a big part of the game for those guys. They're both bigger, and from what I've seen, I think both guys will be fine in that department. So D for me.
Okay. Man, I'm kind of mean.
I'll be the F guy.
Okay.
It's just, yeah.
I don't blame you. Yeah. We've already spent way too much time on the tight end.
Offensive line.
This is tricky for me because I just don't know. I hear good things. Like, I hear things enough to where I'd put this as like a B-. But I just don't know. And, I mean, I don't know much about Priestley. I've never seen J.C. Davis play. I know that the coaches love him. I don't. Kreutz was banged up, but I think he'll be healthy for game 1. I'm just going to go C here. And hope that I'm completely wrong. I think they've got the ability to be a B. I don't think they go below a C. But I'm going to go low end because I don't know. There's so much that goes into an offensive line and how they interact with each other and all of that good stuff that Fred Wakefield has tried to explain to me in the past. So I'll just go a solid C for the offensive line.
I'll get to a B- on the offensive line. I think it's actually going to be pretty solid.
I hope you're right. I hope
J.C. Davis at left tackle is massive, especially when talking about the pass catchers, Luke Altmaier's progress.
Yes.
Having that guy protecting your blind side, I think he's an all-conference tackle. And then getting the 3 interior guys back with Kreutz, Chrysler, and Geske, while none of those 3 guys were spectacular last year, I think – to me, it's fair to assume all 3 of those guys will take a step forward, especially those younger guys. I think it can get to a B-.
I like that. I hope it does.
There's been a good amount of hype on this offensive line. part of it that I definitely buy is J.C. Davis. Now, I know he was in the Mountain West last year, but I went through the stat. Like, he was the third highest graded tackle on PFF last year, and the two that were above him got drafted in the first round, including Joe Alt. So that certainly speaks glowingly about what he can do.
Yes.
Again, it's the Big Ten now.
Yeah.
And we'll see how he does. But you're potentially upgrading big time for an offensive line that really had a trouble protecting Luke Altmaier, in particular the first half of that season. But if he can shore up that and give him a little bit more time, allow him to not panic and those type of things, it just seems like the left side of the offensive line has gotten a ton of praise.
I agree. Gesky could be big in the run game, too.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. So I one thing that I do get drawn back on is we talk about how much the overall production from running backs last year, even though we like Fagan a lot, we talked about that room already, but it was 120 yards per game on the ground last year, which was the lowest in being like the offensive line has to take accountability for some of that,
There's
obviously. And while we talk about continuity inside, those three guys were blocking for last year's collection of running backs as well. So I don't want to fully be on board with like this is an awesome offensive line group because there is clearly room for growth, both in pass protection, which I think you did help a lot with Davis, and then even Priestley, even though I like you, I'm still needing to get more familiar with him. I'm not saying that Kreutz and Gesky and Chrysler are bad by any means, but I do land ultimately with Kyle. I think B- is a fair grade. I think Davis props that up a lot. I do think there is something to be said for three guys in the middle that are now going to play together because, like you said, like continuity matters a lot.
It does.
And just like those guys being all on the same page. But I don't know that I'm as high as some people who think this is just going to be an awesome offensive line because last year we thought Illinois going into the year was going to be great on both lines of scrimmage, and they just weren't.
They weren't. You're right. And they do have some depth there with Brandon Henderson and stuff too. So I think probably B- is where I should be, to be honest with you.
Defensive line, I think how we're going to grade this is, are we going to put edge position as its own?
I would. I'd put
them in linebackers.
You want to separate it? Okay.
So D-line, we're talking Dennis Briggs Jr., the transfer from Florida State, T-Raw Edwards, Alex Bray. I think if you included edge with Seth Coleman and Akis, that obviously elevates the grade. Without them, where are you at?
I'm going D. It's unproven. They've got to show me that they can stop Kansas, that they can stop Michigan running the football. I mean, I've got to see it. There's too many years where I've seen a defensive line just get shredded. So I hope Gentle Hunt isn't. I hope he's not gentle. But it's too unproven for me to understand how good they can be. Boy, what a storyline it would be if guys like Briggs and those guys really showed up. But I'm going to go D.
I'm at a D as well. I think thinking about this roster, my biggest concern on this entire team this year is stopping the run defensively. Yep. I think there's a chance, especially you look in the Big Ten and some of the teams you're going to play with some of these prolific rushing attacks. I think it's going to be a bad run defense, and it's going to start with these guys. I'm not even really considering like replacing Johnny Newton's sack production and pressure production because you don't typically see that from the interior guys in this scheme. Exactly. Johnny Newton was just that good. But against the run, I think this group is really going to struggle, and there's just nothing proven, whether it's the starters or the depth behind them. I have a lot of question marks about the defensive line.
I'm with you.
I'll slap another D on there as well. Dennis Briggs has put up good numbers, PFF-wise at times, and had some pressures there in that bowl game for Florida State against Georgia. But outside of that, like he has to show he can stay healthy through. This is his 7th season of college football.
What? I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I mean, I appreciate that you got a grown man up there.
2 seventh-year guys on the defensive line with Briggs, and then Ezekiel Holmes is playing D-line too.
Holy crap! And Hugh Robertson's 52.
Right,
we've got
right. But I worry about the lack of depth here and just overall talent after losing Johnny Newton and Keith Randolph. All right. Linebackers, do we want edge in there or just edge its own thing?
I go edge alone.
Edge its own thing. Let's do edge then with Coleman and Akis as the headliners.
I'm going B on this, and I'm comfortable that Coleman is going to be good this year and he's going to be consistent. And I'm comfortable saying that I think Gabe Akis is going to have a impact on this team. It's time. It's time for him to have that. They need him to have that. So I'm going to go solid B from this group. I think we'll be impressed with this group week in and week out.
I'll go –
not week in and week out. They'll have a couple of games where they don't do much, but I think consistently I think we'll be happy with this group.
I'll go B- with these guys because I think they're both really talented, but it just feels like both of them have been so inconsistent. I just want to see consistency. I think the floor is pretty high in terms of what their numbers at the end of the year will look like, but I think back to last year, and Seth Coleman was nowhere to be seen the first half of the year and then kind of exploded towards the end of the year, and Gabe Akis has had that where he'll have 4 sacks in 3 weeks and then he'll kind of disappear. So I think these guys need to prove that they can really be consistent and really disruptive game in, game out to get me higher, but I'll leave my baseline at a B-.
Can you take me higher?
I'm all for getting Kyle higher.
I had to do that. Hey, I think Kyle's mom, that was Derek. I was the one singing. Now I forgot your mom's name all of a sudden. I was like, I couldn't come up with it that quick.
There's the upside for this group, and really the defense could use it if they get into the A range, if we're talking postseason grades, because if Seth Coleman is who he was the second half of that year, could really be a game record type, a guy that can do a lot of damage. And Akis, we know, like from a physicality standpoint, strength-wise, and what he did in his freshman year, where we thought this is going to be a monster. Yeah. And then last year didn't have, especially the counting stats, and I'm okay, even if the PFF wasn't bad,
right?
He was not as noticeable as he probably should have been. So I agree with Kyle's B- grade. But hopefully this is one, I think, for Illinois' defense to be pleasantly surprising, is this would be a position group that grades out higher than this at the end.
Can one of those guys just hit Daniels really hard against Kansas and just knock him out of that game? I don't want him to be hurt for the season, but just knock him out about the second quarter. You know, Kansas up 14-10, Daniels gets knocked out, Illinois goes on to win 28. Well, they already had 10. I can't put 28. You know what I mean. Don't make me do numbers. Don't make me do numbers on a Friday. All right, linebackers.
All right, Dylan Rosiak in the middle, Kenina Odeluga, James Kreutz also in that mix. So you got some guys, some names that we know, but what do you think as far as the grade that goes for this group?
What I think is you've got linebackers playing linebacker, right? Like a Kreutz and oh my gosh. Who's the first guy you said?
Rosiak.
Yeah, all of a sudden I threw a brain. Those guys just look to me like those middle linebackers that love hitting guys and getting tackles and leading your team in tackles each week. I like this group, but I still don't think they're spectacular. I'd probably go maybe C+ with this because Rosiak, I think, led him in tackles last year.
He did.
The dude, I can't say his name, I think has a chance to be pretty impactful and getting to the rusher. Kenny, I'll say his first name. Yeah, that's it. I'll go C+, and I don't think that's a bad grade for them. I think, they won't be the reason, we won't be as mad at the linebackers every week when the defense isn't good if it isn't.
Yeah, this is a solid C for me. I don't think it's a strength. I don't think it's a weakness. Yeah. I think it's a solid group, but there's no stars here.
Okay.
C+ for me. I like Rosiak. He's got to
I do too.
Be better in coverage. Missed tackles at times last year, but overall liked his production, flying to the football, creating some turnovers, and that's something they could use. Now, hopefully a guy like Terrence Brooks comes in. Maybe he can create a few more interceptions. Matthew Bailey. That was something that just really evaporated for that defense last year. They did have a handful of forced fumbles. Rosiak being able to do that can obviously change some games, a la Jake Hansen. Not saying he's going to be Jake Hansen.
Right.
Kreutz is somebody that's shown that he can hit too.
Yeah.
So I certainly like that about him. But, yeah, like you guys said, it's nothing spectacular. Solid group overall. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll finish out this with the secondary, and then we'll get you Brett Bielema. We'll have to do that quickly as far as the secondary goes, and then make sure you get the head coach of your Illini before we get out of here. Catch a break. We'll be back. This is The Drive.
Better banking experiences start with local people and local decision making. Hi, this is Ryan Heiser, President and CEO of Fisher National Bank. We are a locally owned community bank that has served the area since 1955. Fisher National is rooted in the communities we serve. We pride ourselves on providing financial resources that match or better the mega banks. We are your friends and neighbors who are involved in your communities and take a vested interest in seeing our customers thrive and prosper. Offering a line of rewarding consumer-centric deposits, home mortgages, small business banking, and agricultural lending. There are no compromises banking local with Fisher National. Our convenient online and mobile tools are second to none. We'll work hard to meet your financial needs and earn your trust. Learn more about Fisher National at fishernational.com or stop by one of our branches. Our team looks forward to serving you.
Fisher National Bank. Exceptional communities, exceptional people. Member FDIC.
I've got to clean out this garage. Let's see. What's the cheapest and easiest dumpster service in our area?
Here's what I found. The Doggy Bag.
Think she's broken. I'm not looking for takeout. Siri, try again.
The Doggy Bag from Bulldog Disposal in Mahomet.
Doggy bag? What's that?
If you got junk that needs to go, but you don't want the hassle of having an enormous dumpster delivered, grab a Doggy Bag, keep it as long as you need. They'll come take it away. For more information, just visit BulldoggyBag.com.
That's BulldoggyBag.com.
Look at that. Look at it. A pile of junk, a stack of rubbish, some buckets of yuck. Are you tired of looking at it? 2 Men in a Junk Truck is available for junk removal or dumpster rentals to get rid of your heap of muck, accumulations of dreck, and mountains of cast-offs. Go to 2meninajunktruck.com and schedule your time. Let us help you make room for what matters most. 2meninajunktruck.com for your junk removal and dumpster rentals.
Very happy and honored to have Dr. Abraham Cottrell, cardiac electrophysiology, OSF, Heart of Mary in Urbana. What is AFib?
Yeah, so atrial fibrillation is a heart rhythm disorder, and it's actually the most common heart rhythm disorder that needs treatment. So about 6 million Americans have it currently, and it's expected to increase to about 15 million by 2050. So it's a growing problem. There are lots of things that lead to atrial fibrillation, and this includes diseases like diabetes and hypertension, sleep apnea. Other factors that lead to it are an excessive alcohol and tobacco use, being overweight or obese, and being sedentary. Generally it's an older person's disease. Generally, if you have other heart conditions, it's worth looking for. So that there's a condition called heart failure, which commonly is associated with atrial fibrillation. So hopefully, if you have one of those conditions, those patients are being seen by a cardiologist, and that cardiologist is paying attention to the heart rhythm and keeping an eye on things to look for the development of atrial fibrillation.
To learn more, visit osfhealthcare.org.
Tim Onstott, Gale Ferrex Trucking, Dedicated Diesel. How is everything at Dedicated Diesel and Dixie Chopper?
Well, Dedicated Diesel is going great guns. A couple weeks ago, Donna put in an order for some new machines. We got some great fall deals. We've sold most of the inventory, so we got in a new shipment. We've got new Classics, Blackhawks, Excaliburs, Eagles, Z2, and the new Falcon. That is a nice mower.
So when people try it and get on it, I bet the higher percentage buys them, probably feeling the handling and everything?
Yeah, it's hard to go back to something else once you've driven a Dixie Chopper. And that Falcon seat is the most comfortable mower seat I've ever been on. It is incredible. The Falcon, we've got a great deal on that for $7,000. The introductory price is $9,000 on it, and we're going to get rid of them as fast as we can. But that's a 60-inch deck on that Falcon, so you can do residential, commercial, cut a lot of lawn with that.
Crystal Lake Park Family Aquatic Center is open for the summer swimming season. Bring the whole family for a fun day at the pool. The pool opens